Happy Easter! So we decided we're gonna cook a ham for our friends this weekend. We went to Costco and guess what? Hams are about 50 bucks. So instead, we picked up this bad boy, got a 10-pound pork loin, 33 bucks, and we're gonna cure it ourselves within our sous vide, and we're gonna serve it up to our friends. Let's get going. First off, we're gonna make our brine. We got our bowl here to mix everything. We've got 120 grams of brown sugar, 10 grams of cinnamon, 10 grams of nutmeg, 60 grams of sea salt. Now we're just gonna mix that all together and we're gonna rub it onto our meat. All right, next step, we've just washed our hands. We've got our meat back on the table. We've got to give it a good score to get more surface area so we can get that nice rub right into all of it. Now we chose to go with a pork loin this year. Last year we actually did it with a tri-tip. Really nice, kind of more of those fatty globules all throughout the meat. So this year we want to do a little more of that traditional pork style, so we thought the loin was the way to go. So we're just going to score this nice and diagonal across the whole meat, just on the fat cap here. Make sure not to score the meat itself too much. We want to retain all those juices inside. All right, next is the fun part. Got to grab our meat, got to give it a nice rub. Make sure to do nice, slow, gentle massaging into all the meat. You can use both hands for that. The more rub you can get into the meat here, the better the flavor is going to be. All right, now that we've got our meat nice and massaged, we have two options. You can use a Ziploc freezer bag. Now with this, we don't need any sort of vacuum sealer. We can just put it in, put the meat in the bag, stick it in the water, and essentially just push it down with a little bit sticking open. And that way it's actually gonna let the water displace the air out of it. But since we do have vacuum sealer, we're going the real deal here. So we're just gonna stick our meat in the bag. Pro tip for getting the meat into the bag, you want to fold it over about an inch, whether it's a vacuum seal bag or a Ziploc. That way you're not gonna get the top where you're actually gonna seal it very dirty. Fits. Got a bit of a bend in it. And once that's good, we're gonna vacuum seal it and toss it in the water. All right, so we're almost ready to go. We got our hands in here. We have triple sealed the bags as well. When I use the Food Saver bags, I've had issues in the past where the seal breaks and essentially your whole food is ruined. So I like to triple seal both sides for things that are like an 18-hour cook. With this, we got the sous vide in here. It is set to 136 Fahrenheit, and we're gonna leave it in there for about 18 hours. So when you're leaving food in the sous vide for that long, typically you can see the water start to evaporate. So you wanna make sure that you put something over it, tin foil, saran wrap. Some people use a bunch of ping pong balls even, any kind of solution like that, just to help mitigate that evaporation from happening. So all we need to do, stick our meat in the bag, make sure it is completely sealed, and we're good to go. We'll see you guys tomorrow. All right, so it's day 2. It's been about 20 hours in the sous vide. Now I originally said 18, but the great part about sous vide is you have a lot of variance in terms of time. Great for cooking for groups. That way it's not like a steak where it goes from rare to medium rare in about 5 seconds. This, it can actually sit in the water bath for about 6 more hours. So that way we can cook it ahead of time, we can get everything prepared. We're not stressing when our guests come over, and we're enjoying having a cocktail with them. So what we're gonna do, I've just turned off the sous vide. I have the tin foil on top, and what we can see is the water level only dropped about half an inch, and we have our meat in here looking pretty gross, eh? But what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish it in the oven, and it's gonna be great. All right, so we're just gonna make a really quick glaze, super easy. So what we have here, 200 grams of golden brown sugar. We have 100 grams of maple syrup and 100 grams of honey as well. With that, what we're gonna do, the brine that we use, about 200 grams of that. So it's gonna be a 2-to-1 ratio of the sugars to the brine. And it's gonna make a nice little glaze that we can actually paint on here as we're cooking the meat, crisping it up, getting that nice caramelization going. All right, so now we're gonna get a nice crust on our meat. So what we're gonna do, set the oven to about 425. We have the meat here on a tray, but we also have a grate on there. Point of that is as we're rendering this fat out, it's gonna be dripping and falling to the bottom of the pan, and we don't want our meat sitting in that. We want some airflow underneath so we get a nice crust all the way around, that nice bark. Once we've had that in that 425 for about 20 minutes, you wanna start brushing on your glaze. So just get one of these little silicone brushes if you have it, and you can essentially just brush all around the meat, and just add a little bit every 10 minutes until you find that bark that you're looking for there, nice and caramelized, nice and crispy. All right, so it's been about 20 minutes. We're gonna open up the oven, see how the meat is looking. So essentially, we're just gonna grab our glaze and just start painting it on. Getting into all the little crevices here. It's gonna be extra flavor, it's gonna caramelize. And as you can see, we actually put a piece of parchment under it as well, just so we're not gonna get too much burning right onto the pan itself. We're gonna be doing several layers of this, just to make sure we get a nice bark by the end. All right, we're ready. Moment of truth, here it is. Look at that, beautiful. Nice crustiness. Listen to that caramelization, that's beautiful. So let's cut into this bad boy. Use a nice claw hand method here, don't chop any fingers off. Look at that. Beautiful, let's give it a try. Oh my God, oh my God, that's it. And that's it, it's just that simple. That's your honey glazed ham. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. Happy Easter.